हेलो एवरीवन, कैसे हैं आप सब? आई होप you had a great weekend. So today we are going to talk about the continuation of introduction to trigonometry from my last video. So here, as you all know that I'm using the textbook for the CBSE called NCERT Grade 10 Math textbook. And so basically we're going to talk today about introduction to trigonometry. We're just going to continue. And this is going to be part 2. Those who are new to this channel, I highly recommend you guys first to pause the video and check out my part 1 where we have went over some basic functions of trigonometry and some properties of Pythagoras theorem. So check that out first and then come back and watch this video. It would be much easier for you guys to follow. Now let's just do a quick review of what we did last time. So last time we had spoken about Pythagoras theorem. Okay. And then we also talked about the few six actually total basic functions of trigonometry, right? So what was the Pythagoras theorem? Do you guys remember? So Pythagoras theorem was you had c square. Here, let's just change the pencil color quickly. I'm just trying to change the pencil here. And so, okay, here we go. So a c square is equal to a square plus b square. And what were the 6 basic functions that we had talked about? Those were your sine, theta, then you had your cos theta, tan theta, then you had the inverse of sine, which is called cosecant theta or cosec theta, inverse of cos, which is sec theta, and then the inverse of tan, which is cot theta. Now, if you remember how to find this values, we had created a mnemonic, and the mnemonic was called so here it was called Kato. Okay, so what is this stands for? So let's just quickly draw a triangle, a right angle triangle. Okay, we need an eraser. I'm sorry about this. Just needed only one triangle, not a couple of them. So yeah, here is a triangle, and let's name this triangle as triangle A, B, and C. And we're going to name again this angle as theta so we can quickly do the problems, right? And this is the right angle, angle B, and the side opposite to that is called hypotenuse. Okay, short form for hypotenuse is hypo. We're going to use the side opposite to this angle, the angle theta, because this is what we are referring to, is called the opposite side. And the side closer to the angle is called the adjacent side. Okay, so this is what it is. Now, based on this mnemonic, you can very easily find out sine theta, which would be what? It would be opposite. Sorry, let's move this a little bit here. Okay, so it's going to be opposite, okay, over hypotenuse. What is cos theta? It's going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. Tan would be, like this mnemonic says, opposite over adjacent. So that's what it is, opposite over adjacent. Cosec, again, it's the inverse of sine theta. So sine is opposite over hypo. Cosec should be hypo over opposite. Sec should be is the inverse of cos, so it should be hypo over adjacent. Okay, so let's go here. Hypo over adjacent, and then cot is the inverse of tan, so it should be, if tan is opposite over adjacent, this should be adjacent over opposite. And again, this is the diagram we can use to calculate all these values. So again, sine is opposite over adjacent, opposite over hypotenuse. Based on this mnemonic, you can remember it. So it's opposite over hypo. Cos is adjacent over hypo. Tan is opposite over adjacent. And then the remaining three, which is the cosec, inverse of sine. So it's hypo over opposite. Sec, which is the inverse of cos, it should be hypo over adjacent, and then cot, which is the inverse of tan, so it should be adjacent over opposite. So this is how we do it. Now let's go into your textbook and start with problem number 1, which is this. Given that tan A is equal to 4 by 3, find the other trigonometric ratios of the angle. So tan A is equal to 4 by 3, right? So we're gonna actually erase this triangle and just take a new triangle because we had made C as our angle. So we're just gonna actually not really erase the whole thing, but we're just going to change the actually I'm gonna draw the new triangle so you guys don't get confused. Okay, so let's say if this is our triangle. Okay, and we are going to name this again as, we are going to name this as triangle A, B, C. And so in the problem it says you have a value of tan A, which is 4 by 3, right? So we're gonna make this as our angle. This is the angle we're talking about now in this sum. So tan is what? Tan is opposite over adjacent. So opposite is this, right? This is the hypotenuse, this is the opposite, and now this is the adjacent. So opposite is this, so it's 4 over adjacent, which is this, so it's this. Okay, 4 over 3, so that's 10. The question is asking you to find the remaining of the values. So how do we do that? First of all, in order to find this, we have to find the third side of the triangle. How can we find that? We can find by using the Pythagoras theorem, which is c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. Now, what is c squared and c and a and b? In this, we can just name anything, right? So always, usually the longer side is the c, and then it's the sum of the two other side. Okay, so let's say this is our c, which is here, and then this is a, and then this is b. So what would be c? That's what we are trying to find. So c square is equal to a square, which is 3 square. What's the square of 3 is 9, and plus b square. What's the square of 4? The square of 4 is 16. So it's 9 plus 16, which is equal to 25. And if c squared is equal to 25, what would be c? So you just take the square root, right? If this is square and you bring it on this side, it becomes the square root of 25, which is equal to 5. So this side is 5. Okay, so now we know all three sides. We know AB, it's 3, BC, it's 4, and AC is 5. So it's very easy to find the rest of these values. So what would be sine A in this problem? It's asking A, okay? So instead of theta, we're just going to say sine A is opposite over hypotenuse. So it should be 4 over 5. Okay, so what would be sine here? Let's write it down. It should be 4 over 5. What should be cos? That's the adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent is 3 over 5. Okay. What should be 3 over 5? What should be 10? 10 should be opposite over adjacent. So opposite over adjacent, so it's 4 over 3, which they have already given us in the problem, but just to fill these blanks, that's what it is. What is cosecant or cosec? It should be inverse of sine, which is hypotenuse over opposite, right? So 5 over 4, or here it's easier, it's 4 over 5, so its inverse is 5 over 4. Sec should be inverse of cos, so if cos is 3 over 5, this should be 5 by 3. And cot, which is the inverse of 10, and if 10 is 4 over 3, this should be 3 over 4. So that's what it is. So that was problem number 1.